Hello and welcome to the Shakedown. Our mission is to inform people about how the criminal justice system works, the real people impacted by the justice system, and methods to improve justice through compassionate and casual conversation. Hosts of the Shakedown share over 50 years of combined personal experience dealing with Texas prisons and working to change the criminal justice system. And now, here's our show. I'd like that. It'd be nice if that was the. It was honestly that was one of the things I thought when he when he first got elected was that, well, if that means he can win, then that opens it up to more people to getting involved in politics.
Right.
But and at the same time, how many people who get a mugshot then can just not only leave the sheriff's department
Yeah.
and just leave straight out the door in a suit, but they can leave and then go straight to their private jet and take off.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Like, that's not
right. And when you think about it, you're like, boy, times have changed. Times have really changed when we look at politics and how we judge people because we have a president who has a mugshot, got on his private jet, and now he's campaigning to run again and he's in trial. He's actively have charges against him. I'm like, boy, this is really making America great. I just thought I said, man, he's so radical. Who's gonna check him? Who's gonna go against him? And he is the dream of literally living unapologetically. He just does what he wants to do. And for that, I like that piece about it. He doesn't care. This is who he is, and he stands for that. And hopefully, we'll see how it goes. But on the bright side, I'm looking at, okay, what are the changes? How can he take this and make this great? And look at other people who are in these situations that may have been wrongfully convicted, or facing legal charges. You can just walk out now, pass a law, right?
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't. There's some other reasons because one thing too. I actually like, since I was locked up.
Mhm.
I look very closely at candidates. I look very closely at what candidates are saying, what they're
Yes.
doing, especially when it comes to criminal justice. And there are very few on the presidential level, I will say. I was
Yes.
really surprised actually when I was looking at the primaries this year.
Mhm.
The primaries actually had, if you looked at who was running against on the Democratic primaries,
Mhm.
they had some great choices for that were running against the incumbent, but you didn't get to hear about them. No one
Right.
really got to hear about any of them.
Mhm.
But some of them, that was their main campaign sticking point was, we don't want we want to shape up the criminal justice system. That was like the whole point of their campaign. That was why they were running. That was why they wanted to
Mhm.
have the discussions they were having.
Right.
So this so it was and part of that, I feel like one of the big reasons why that is why we don't have that, it is really unpopular.
Mhm.
It's very unpopular, and I think it's unpopular because um to change the criminal justice system would be to change um a fundamental belief that we all get like in our childhood,
Yeah.
which is like that, like the stories that we get from cop shows and from Chicago PD, from Law and Order, from the old from cops
Mhm.
even, is that
there are bad people who are going to hurt you or doing dangerous things, or or all these crime families or whatever that are running around in the background, and the police are out there to find them, and that's their job, and then the lawyers help put them
Right.
away, and then
Right.
that's what they're doing, and then like the system's not perfect, but
Mhm.
it's like that's what it's doing, that's what it was designed to do, and that's how it
Yeah.
works. But in reality, the problem is that in reality, that's not what it was ever designed to do.
Right.
It wasn't designed to go after quote unquote bad people. And it was designed to go after certain types of people
Yes.
and lock them up, because you'll notice, like I said, the reason you can have a former president leave on a jet while someone who drank too much at a bar ends up at the like he's gonna have to sleep it off, or
Yeah.
he's not going to be leaving anytime soon,
Mhm.
is because he's going is because generally has to do with money.
Yeah.
And it just like there's certain crime. I'll put it this way: have a um if you go out driving and then you drive and there you get into a car and you accidentally hit someone else and the other driver dies,
Mm.
that's one type of felony.
Yeah.
You go and you intentionally drive over someone, that's another type of
Another
felony.
type of felony. Yeah.
But if you design a car that fails and ends up killing a bunch of people, that is a misdemeanor.
That's insane. That's
Right.
insane, right? Um,
Yeah.
the different laws, and it's like, well, who are we protecting? It's I, I would like in a perfect world that more people in the field of therapy or the field of mental health can be employed in these different sectors, just to bring the holistic understanding of the importance of mental health. And maybe we can read, like, in terms of policy reform, look at some of these laws, because it's been going on since the beginning of time. It's like, well, this is the way we do things, this is how it's always been. But we all, like, they say in AA, if you do the same thing and expect different results, that's insanity. And we're literally in this insanity of, we're having the same results with the same type of criminal behavior. And I think a lot of it is that we take the greatness out of being a human being. When you talk about the criminal justice system, and you even say, I even look at it as, if they always say, maybe if you know the right person or you're kin to the right person, we do know there's perks with that. But for the average citizen, human being, you go out and commit a crime where it could just been an accident, and my God, the world's looking at you, you know? Especially a therapist. My God, the code of ethics that we have to follow. And it's very interesting. We're therapists on and off the clock, almost like doctors and nurses. You know, you have to be very cognizant of what you do. It's almost like you're walking a tight line even after hours. And I'll give you an example. As a therapist, just holding the license that we have, any criminal behavior, any criminal activity, or even a traffic violation at times has to be reported. And I recently had a coworker, she, I guess, went out, had a great time, and did a breathalyzer and failed. And I'm like, "Oh my god. This is her livelihood now. This is her livelihood." So, especially for people who are in the helping profession, I can't I'm not given the opportunity to screw up in any kind of way. I can't. And I get it. We're held to a higher accountability because we are helping the public. But I think a lot of the times is that we take the humanistic aspect out of things. We're human. We're not robots. We have our days, we have our moments. None of us are perfect. And if the criminal justice system can just see that, just an inkling of that, I think that it would really change justice reform like it's never been changed before. Instead of just reading the law book, oh, well, this crime gets this or this crime gets that, it would be, well, let's look back. Interesting. I think it's the Idaho, the student, PhD student that recently went in, I think last year, and committed the murder of those college kids. And as a therapist, my wheels are turning as I'm watching this case. I'm like, oh my God, he was a PhD student majoring in criminology. How do we go from here to committing I think it's 3 or 4 murders? Like, what is going on? And I'm watching the cases on YouTube consistently, and I'm waiting on someone to just plunge in into his background. Who was he? Did they see the red flags? Did they see the signs from a mental health perspective that could have minimized this type of act? One thing was he was very introverted, and he was. They've done all type of, I guess, evaluations in terms of was he psychopathic. But in my mind, I'm like, I just want to link the piece together and figure out what was going on, maybe in his childhood, as to how does someone get into a PhD program, probably excelling, and then now he's a murderer. That just that alone, who would not think of that? Like, man, where did where did it shift? What happened in his life? Did something happen? But all we hear is, and my heart goes out to the victims. It does. But where do we draw the line of just saying it was just a crime? When will we peel back the layer and say, well, if this person had these encounters, statistically, how many more problematic cases we can probably avoid if judges, attorneys, or police officers or parents could see the warning signs? Does it take another murder to happen? It just, it's really a Lifetime movie. I know they're gonna make a Lifetime movie out of it. We go we go from PhD to killing 4 students. I mean, and I see these crimes. I'm so big on what is crime TV. And as a therapist, my mind gets to running. Like, I'm always thinking, I wonder what happened in his childhood. I wonder if he was neglected. I wonder if he was abused. And I'm like, I need the judicial system to see what I'm seeing. I need them to get this. I need them to start asking the hard questions. Not to say we're going to let the person off in any slack, but just to have case studies. Not just saying, like you said, well, the law book says if you do this, this is a perfect example of a triple homicide and this is the conviction. We need case studies in law school to say, let's look back at his past. So this probably can be used in some type of intervention to say, this is what we need to look for. Teaching parents, the police department, someone to say, hey, we're missing the signs here. And I see that a lot with veterans, where the signs are missed. And there's statistics on veterans committing suicide every, I think, 8 minutes. And to me, that is mind boggling because it's like, wait a minute. We know this information, but what are we doing about it? Not just veterans, people. I'm a fond believer. People wear masks every day, invisible mask. COVID helped us out a lot because you were able to hide your identity to a certain degree for 3 or 4 years. But in all actuality, sometimes I'm not talking to the person that's sitting in front of me. That may be a representation. And when you're in the field of mental health, you get the joy of really diving into someone's unclosed chapters. And that's when I'm like, okay, I could piece this together. This is a puzzle. This is why this probably happened. We can apply this theory. And this is probably why he did this. I don't see that in the judicial system. I don't see it. And it's like, where are we going? What are we gonna do? What's the change? I think that's something that need to be implemented in every aspect. And I can go on and just and I'll just give you an example. My first thesis that I wanted to write on was domestic violence, not interventions, because I'm really radical, not interventions more so for the victims, but interventions for the perpetrators. And statistics shows that people that commit ha- domestic violence acts of murder, they have likely witnessed that in their childhood. That's learned behavior. And when you talk about domestic violence, which is on an high rise right now, especially within the African American community, we're looking at, we're doing this for the victim. But if I was to look at it from a mental health perspective and knowing that the perpetrator experienced that as a child, then in all actuality, they're both victims. So do people want to hear it like that? They don't, because it's like we're in the heat of the moment. It's, you committed a crime, you did something, and you should be persecuted. But it's different when it's on from a different angle, when it's you or a loved one or a family member or someone close. You're like, oh my God, I'm ready to lobby, I'm ready to advocate. But until it happens to us sometime close to home, it's something that just kind of goes over our heads.
I agree.
You can find Shakedown merch, graphic novels, and other projects at waywordpress.com. That's WAYWORD press.com. If you would like to support The Shakedown, get exclusive content, and watch episodes live, you can support us at patreon.com/The Shakedown. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment to give Malone that inner peace he so richly deserves.